When he came to Spain, I think in the first year there was a lot of eyebrows saying, okay, what is he trying to do here? But he did it.
Back at Barcelona, is the club that you see now very different from the club you experienced as a young man?
I think it's grown a lot. I think the club philosophy is unique. The way of football is unique. A lot of fantastic players or fantastic coaches cannot work at that club. And it's strange to say, but that's the reality, because the principles of game, the principles, even in the youth, they are so strong marked that you cannot come there and just make the changes that you want. What you need to do is try to modernize and to progress the system that's already in place. And of course, great coaches have come. I mean, Guardiola obviously had a huge impact, a huge influence in Barcelona, and the coaches before and also after. And now I think the club, or Spanish football in general, has just hit the wall a little bit because Spanish football at this moment of time cannot compete with, for example, English league. Best talents are coming here to England. The way the television is set up, the way the English league is also sold abroad. At the moment, Spain needs to kind of be open-minded again to see how to progress. And Barcelona is in Spain, so we have a similar situation. And again, tough decisions, as you all can see, with a lot of changes, a lot of painful changes, but that's just the way it is.
How do you think you can help them?
Well, I think I've seen, I've been traveling a lot of years now. After 25 years, I came in a way back home. And times have changed, generations have changed, also the language of the young players have changed, everything has changed. And I think I can help in a way that, because I've been as a sport director, I've already been a bit in the leading role of organizing, of putting the best people in the key positions in the club. But also as a coach, I've also learned my trade a little bit, even though in different kind of countries and cultures, maybe not A-leagues, but in difficult leagues, sometimes things are much harder than in top leagues. But I think I can help them in many aspects as a sporting advisor, to say it this way, and also to help organize, to try to catch up to what Spanish football has lost.
Catch up?
Yeah, I think so, because England made a step forward. It's dynamic, the rhythm, the pace of the game in England, it's 90 minutes, it's transitions, attacking, defending. And Spanish football still sometimes has one rhythm, possession, but we are starting to suffer or struggle a little bit when we play the English teams, the German teams. We still suffer a bit. Of course, there's examples like Villarreal, who won the Europa League, and still we can do it. But as a league, the English league at this moment, it's just faster, and we need to try to equal that pace, and we need to change some things.
I want to finish off chatting with you, Jordi, about tactical insights and the coaching aspect of your journey. We've got actually a little clip to show you where you're talking here about working with Sir Alex Ferguson, and also some tactical insight from your father.
My father was obsessed with angles and with triangles. So he always felt that in football, the more triangles you have, the more options to play you have. And he would prefer in different lines. He would not like this, for example. Because if you lose the ball, you lose 3 players with one loss. He would always want players to play in different lines. So Koeman would be slightly behind him. He would have these 2 players. Guardiola was alone in this line. Then you would have 2 players in this line with him coming whenever necessary. You would have also the direct pass. Normally it was Baquero. Baquero was very good at receiving the ball with his back to the goal, and then lay it off to one of these 3 players, and then we would already be one line further, and we still had the ball possession with enough players in good positions, in good rest defense, that when we would lose the ball, we would be well organized to prevent counterattacks. And also here, he always had everywhere different triangles. And my father, all his trainings every day would be possession games, 4 against 4 with 3 jokers, all had to do with finding the triangles on the pitch. he was really a master in knowing when he had to, or when he would need these players in certain times of the year. So he would already prepare November to keep certain players fresh for when, you know, the congestion of fixtures would come in December and in January. So that was my kind of the first time that I understood that, you know, managers are not only thinking about the next game, but they're actually in their mind already thinking about the next and even the next after. So I think I learned a lot about Ferguson, and especially when I got a bit older in my career and when I started to coach myself, then I understood that he was actually really ahead of his time in many things that he used to do and many decisions that he used to make. And I catch myself a lot of times like remembering some of the things that he told me when I'm actually speaking to a player, and you can just imagine that already 30 years have passed, but still a lot of his way of planning and thinking are still present in nowadays football.
In many ways, two masters that were ahead of their time. What do you think defined Sir Alex? Was it the man management? Was it the game day approach rather than the coaching aspect?
I think the man management and identifying what player would give him what in which moment. Like he knew how to use the players in the right moment, as I said there. I think he could overlook. I mean, he had complete control of everything that was happening in the training complex. Everything. He knew everything, every corner. Everything was always under control. And I think man management skills were just above. You know, that was the big thing. It's not easy, even nowadays, to manage a lot of egos of big players of different cultures. All believe they have to play. It's not easy. And I think he was a master in that.
How do you think he would have worked with a sporting director?
Well, at that time, I think now it's new times, a new era. And as I said before, at that time, it was 20 players, 25, 5, 6 staff members, and that was it. Nowadays, it's 60. Players play 60, 70 games between national team and the league, and then you have this league and that league. You know, it's too much to handle one person. I mean, you just have to give away certain things. You just need to choose the right people for the right place, and that they all work in the same direction and they are loyal to you. But nowadays, I mean, in his time, he didn't need a sport director. First of all, there was already a limitation of foreigners, so you didn't have to do so much foreign scouting anyways. I mean, internal scouting is easier because when you play against a certain player 3-4 times a year, I mean, you don't need to watch him on television, you feel him in the game. So there was a different way of scouting also. But I think all coaches, I see Van Gaal, for example, 70 years old, came back to the national team of Holland, you know, for the 3rd time, 70 years old. And he's modernized. And when you hear him talk in the press conference, I mean, he's using all the modern technology. So everybody who just keeps advancing and keeps being open-minded to learn new things, just never think you finish learning, because that's arrogance and that's just not the way it is. Keep learning. There's no age for that. And I'm sure Ferguson, you know, he had this aura also, the respect from every player. I mean, people, you know, I wouldn't say afraid, but there was so much respect that people would not just react like maybe nowadays you see when you sub a player off and he's angry and he throws his bottle on the bench. I mean, with Ferguson, I don't think you would do that.
We don't have time probably, Jordi, to sort of do proper justice to the legacy of your father. But what's his legacy for you when you think about football and football tactics?
Well, I think, I mean, the day that he finished coaching is already long ago. But I do think, and people maybe, you know, if I see Guardiola, for example, play with, you know, the right back coming inside, my father used to do that also. When you see a team playing with not a pure number 9, my father also did that in Barcelona in the time of Guardiola many times. But Guardiola has modernized football, but you still see a lot of things that I can recognize from those times. Just, it's modernized, like it has to be. But I think my father, for example, in certain clubs, he always preferred a small, clever player than a tall, non-clever player, for example. So he was the one that actually would give opportunities to, he wouldn't look at the height. He would balance the height, because nowadays set pieces are also a vital part of football, and more. But I think he changed a lot of things, also his way of thinking, that he would prefer to win 4-3 instead of 1-0. I think nowadays, if you ask a lot of coaches, they still prefer 1-0. He was a 4-3. He always would say, I play for the fans. And I actually remember kind of teasing him a bit with a 1974 World Cup. And I used to say to my father, I said, yeah, everybody speaks about, the orange team, the Holland team in 74, but the color of your medal was not the gold one. When you're young and you tease your father, he teases you back, of course. I also received. But he would always say, and I would ask him, what would you prefer? He said, no, I prefer what we did. Everybody, when they talk about 74, they speak about the revolutionary Holland national team. They don't speak about the winner, which is unusual. They speak about the loser for the way they show themselves with new things. When I look at videos, and I encourage you to do that, if you just go in YouTube, whatever, and you see images of the 1974 Holland, the way they were pressing forward, I mean, it's suicidal. Like 11 players, and nowadays I would look at the video and say, but if he just chips the ball, there's 4 players are going to be alone against our goalkeeper. But in that time, they had it. They had the courage. And my father was very courageous with young players, with systems. When I look at lineups sometimes against Barcelona, Juventus, Champions League from I don't know how many years ago, one defender on the pitch. He would have midfielders playing as a left back and a right back. And, I would say, Dad, what are we trying? Are you trying to lose? Like, what's happening? And he just had that. He just had the charisma, the aura. Even as a coach, he would say to players, I want you to do this. And they would say, yeah, but coach, it's impossible. And he would say, give me the ball, I'll do it. And he still had the talent to do it. Inside foot, outside foot. I said before already there, master of the angles. Angles, everything for him was angles. How, if you just put your body a little bit like this, you have a whole new view of a new pitch that you would not see if you're like this. And he would be absolutely obsessed with that, but he could still show it. And I think when you're 22, 23, 24, whatever, and coach is asking you something that I think is impossible, and then he does it at the age of 45, okay, then if he can do it, I can also do it. So I think he had all this charismatic, he could still show it. He had courage to do things. And above all, I think the most beautiful thing is to see clubs where he coached and played, like Barcelona and Ajax. To see 2 stadiums on his name, 2 huge statues in front of the stadium, and above all, the philosophy of football. Give young players a chance, play to win. Nowadays, systems, we love to argue about 3, 5, and in the end, it's about occupying spaces. Put the right people. He would love to have players on the side to make the pitch big. He just had all the modern things, but above all, possession. He used to say, if I have the possession, at least I dictate what is happening. If I make a mistake, then I need to be in the right position to be able to recover the ball fast. He wanted to press fast, things that you also see nowadays in football. But at that time, when he came to Spain, I think in the first year, there was a lot of eyebrows saying, okay, what is he trying to do here? But he did it.